But you mentioned before Timo Meier. I'm a big Timo Meier guy,
Yeah.
and you and I see him, at practice, and we see what he can do. To me, he can control a game with the skill set he has, but for some reason, he'll, score a bunch of goals and then he'll go missing for a long stretch of time. I mean, what is it with him that you think makes this happen, that he goes missing for these long stretches? And how do they get the most out of him? Because it's puzzling to me. We see the skill there. We've talked to, the coaches about it, and they love what he brings. But, I can't understand what it is that makes him go missing for such a long stretch of time.
This has been the biggest mystery to me since they acquired him. I know that you and I have kind of just done some digging on this, and we found out that, like, just in San Jose there were pockets where he would kind of be a streaky player, right? But in San Jose, he was also putting up like what like 40 goals a season at some point, like so
Yeah.
he was putting up better numbers there. So where you see some of these hot stretches in March, and I will agree that there are times where he is like unconscious in March, to like or head turning in March to use a better term. Um, that's how his game is sometimes. But and we've seen that with the Devils, sure. But in San Jose, it must have been hotter. Like these hot stretches he goes through must have been way hotter because he ended up finishing the season with more production. I think you see the advanced production there with Timo, and I think you see eye test wise, you see a guy that's at times tough to play against. But I also think the other end of that eye test spectrum is you see a guy that sometimes is just skating slow out there. A guy that I harped on this on my stream last night. There was in the game against Tampa a couple days ago, he had this giveaway in the defensive zone where Devils got the puck like near the boards. Timo took it up and he was, he dished it to like Brendan Dillon or something like that, which is like, I don't know why you're giving it to Brendan Dillon's not exactly a puck moving defenseman. I don't know why you do that. He dished it, and I say Brendan Dillon because it was almost in the vicinity. That was like the guy that was even closest to it, but two Tampa players were able to just easily pounce on it. So it's just careless mistakes like that. Thank God they didn't score. But there's so many careless decisions too that you wonder like what's going on there. He just hasn't been the player that I don't think he's lived up to the billing here in New Jersey. Like I know that there's times where we all kind of like are almost afraid to admit it sometimes because we're like, oh, like we think he's such a terror to play against at times. But there's just other times where you're like, ugh, like you want that production out there. That Timo? Where's that Timo we saw in San Jose?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how many times have I said to you, I've looked over to you in the box or at practice, and I've been like, this guy looks good this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores 40,
Yep.
and then, it just comes to be that at the end of the year, look, 27 is nothing to scoff at, but for a guy of his, talent level, you would think that it would be, closer to that number that he would hit no, more normally in San Jose, 35, 40 goals. So it's definitely been disappointing. You want to see the highest paid offensive player on the team certainly contribute in a much bigger way, and he hasn't been so far.